The views and opinions expressed during Love and Life with Lana and Dave are those only of the speakers and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or the position of our podcast hosts or affiliates. Any content provided is not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, anyone, or anything. All right, let's do it.
You're listening to Love and Life with Lana and Dave, the podcast where logic is power and you take control. Thank you for tuning in and making the choice to listen in and get ideas for your own love and life. Now, here are your hosts, Lana Williams and David Vaccaro.
And so here we go. We are back. Dave is back.
I am.
This week.
I needed a little break. I was busy doing stuff for all intents and purposes. We'll call it stuff. But guess what? I'm David.
I'm Lana.
And guess what we're talking about today? Holy cow, we're talking.
You know, I'm not going to guess because I already know. And I don't think the listeners at home could guess because they have no idea.
They have no idea, but we're going to talk about cheating.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yep.
Now, yeah, tell me that wasn't perfect for cheating, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Cheating is perfect for a lot of things.
Yeah, it is, really. It's a good one to have. So, so we're going to talk a little bit about, we're asking the question, since we believe logic is king, is there logic behind cheating? And I believe there is a lot of logic behind cheating. And there's reasons why people cheat. And we're going to talk about those. But before we get started with that, Lana has some statistics for you, which I think are very interesting.
And I also want to say this. It isn't because we're saying that there's logic behind it. We're not saying that we think it's okay.
Correct. Well,
it's a very different story between what we see as an equation,
right,
and whether we think it's a valid or a good thing to do or not.
Yeah,
you know,
I will blatantly say I think cheating is completely wrong, but there is logical reason behind it. There is a reason it happened, and that's what we're going to talk about. Some things. Right.
So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, nobody got all crazy with, I can't believe these two people.
I think cheating is okay.
Say that cheating is okay.
I know.
That it's logical. Logical doesn't mean right. Logical means we can see the lead up to how something like that can happen.
Correct.
So first of all, we're getting cheating as infidelity. Let's look at it that way. That's most of what cheating means. It means being unfaithful through an action that betrays your partner's trust.
Right.
Could be kissing, flirting, sex, connecting emotionally in a romantic sense, texting, sexting with somebody else other than your partner without their consent. Now that means, I personally believe this, if you can't do it in front of them, it's wrong. If they can't know about it, it's not right. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Like as far as the trust part of it goes.
Is this muted, the phone?
Oh, it is not.
Okay.
It is now.
Okay.
So that probably didn't make sense to you. Did you hear it right then? You probably didn't hear all of it.
I did. I heard it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's like kind of my general overview of it. Of course, there's like stuff like, oh, you're throwing somebody a surprise party, which if it's me, don't do it because I hate that.
Right.
But anyway, something like that.
You would take that as cheating.
I wouldn't take it as cheating, but
I'd cheating on her than throwing her a surprise party.
I'd be pretty not. If ever I get brought into a room and everybody says surprise, I'm just going to turn around and walk back out. I do not like stuff like that. But even in that case, that's obviously for somebody that you know well, and you know that they would love something like that, and you're doing it out of some kind of positive motivation. It's really not. That's really the only that's the only time I could think of that you would go.
Well, I can think of another thing too. So we are individuals as human beings. What's going on inside my brain is my business, right?
That's I
shouldn't have to share that with somebody. The reason I say that is because I used to date somebody that would freak out because she always wanted to know what I was thinking at the moment. And I'm like, it's my brain. This was years ago. I was young and so was she.
Yeah.
And it was,
Oh my God.
So it was amazing. Now there are other things that there are people that do things with themselves behind closed doors that should be able to remain private. That's not a form of cheating. If you're open
Right.
enough to talk to your significant other, some people are, some people are not, and you know what
True.
I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying. I believe that, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but if the person you're with is like, if you guys are in an open relationship, obviously that's not what I mean.
Right.
Because the person you're with is okay with that.
Correct.
They may be okay with you going off and doing something around behind their back. They're not. But if it's something that you know they don't want you to do,
and again,
you've got to
it has
hide
to be
it.
something that's discussed, right? So I know there are people out there that believe watching porn is cheating, and which is insane to me. Well, have you had the discussion? Well, I caught him looking at porn, and that's disgusting to me. Okay, well, that's you. It's not disgusting to him. Is he not giving you sex? Oh, he is. Okay, so what he's doing in his private time is private. Now that you know this, if you don't want him to do it, you need to say so. And he may say, hey, what I do in my private time, if it's not affecting you directly, should be none of your business.
Exactly. I mean, when you start off by thinking, and all of us do this, even me, I try very hard not to do this. It comes from the childhood and it comes from the playbook, right? Mm-hmm. And who you are as a person and how you were raised. And then everybody around you gives you some kind of an impression about what people are supposed to do based on some rule book that somebody has somewhere and nobody has seen it. If you think that a guy that's looking at porn is just cheating and there's just no discussing it and you've never talked to him about it before, that's your issue. That's your playbook.
That's right.
Now, it doesn't mean that it's okay for him to do it if he's aware that it bothers you.
Correct.
But the least you can do is sit down and give the information to them and say, this bothers me. Or at least ask the question. Hey, I mean, I know that it sounds clinical, but sit down and talk to somebody about why do they watch porn. Maybe they'll tell you, they'll answer you and you'll get information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You know, there's not, it's not, people's choices that they make are always not a bad thing. Just because it's something different than me or what I'd like to do or what I prefer to do, you know.
Projection.
There are people that blow their nose in the shower. There are people that think that that's disgusting.
Yeah, you know? It's projection.
Yeah, it is.
Just
and that's
pure and simple.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it, therefore why does anybody in the world do it?
Correct. And that's just not
live and let live, right?
Yeah, that's an unfair thing. That's an unfair statement. So therefore,
anyway,
be very careful when we're treading on these cheating waters because sometimes you know, but cheating is cheating. And, you know, we're going to, you have more statistics.
If you're giving out of your relationship, if you're in a relationship where somebody does not want you to give their attention to someone else in a way that's intimate to the relationship, I would say for the most part, that's probably cheating if somebody's giving you a specific example of something and you do it anyway.
Right.
There's all stuff that obviously two people that are monogamous, they want to get intimate only with each other. They're only going to be,
they should discuss it though, right? So,
right, of course.
I mean, I had somebody once, we got in a huge fight because they believed that masturbation was cheating. And I was like, okay, first of all, there's no other human being involved at all. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's number one. Number two, it's not something that interferes with, you know, with our relationship at all. Therefore, it's none of your business. And I wasn't trying to be mean, but she's like, I just don't get it. And I go, I understand. Maybe you don't get it, but I get it. And so, like, let's say, what am I going to do? Wake you up at 3:00 in the morning? I can't sleep. So guess what? I might go in the bathroom and take care of business. Or should I wake you up and say, hey, take care of this for me and don't talk to me or anything because I'm still kind of tired. I just want to get this done and go to bed.
Right.
You know, and she's like, well, that would be rude. And I go, exactly. So,
right.
You know, there's a reason or possibly a reason. Have a discussion and find out what it is, no matter what it is. Just because it doesn't fit your narrative doesn't mean it doesn't fit somebody else's and it's completely okay.
Right. And I mean, and I agree with that. I think every relationship is different.
Yes.
So you have to understand over and above, like, you know, what people are doing out there in society generally.
Right.
What you and your person that you're with, how you both handle the relationship and how what you define as this and that is your personal business.
Between the two of you, because also there's two different people as well. We're not one person. We're two different people in a relationship. So therefore, discussion needs to be had and agreements need to be made.
Right.
Very serious.
I wouldn't assume anything. I don't assume anything. You know what I mean? You may have a friend that says to you, what, your girlfriend or boyfriend did this, that's inexcusable. And they go off into a thing and that's going to be their personal definition of what they don't like. And they're pushing that on you and telling you you should not like it either.
There are people in swinger relationships. Yeah, there are people in swinging relationships or open relationships.
No.
Now, to me, that's not my thing. But if I start dating somebody and she's like, oh, by the way, I'm a swinger. Well, then, yes, one of two things is going to happen. One, no,
right.
I'm not interested because it's not my thing. So I can't. And that's just something that needs to be discussed. And it goes all the way back to the beginning episodes. Honesty with yourself. If you don't want that, don't try to change that person and who they are, because also, they're going to want that.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit about
don't knock
people
it.
that don't
if it's
want
not your
to
thing,
be.
it's not your thing. If somebody is open to that, and that's something that for some reason didn't get discussed in early dating, which I find hard to believe. But anyway, if for some reason it's completely out of left field and somebody says, I'm into something sexually and you just didn't see it coming, especially something like that.
Right.
That doesn't make them wrong.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
It doesn't make it something you have to do if you don't want to do it, but to knock them and tell them that they're wrong for doing it if it's their thing is also wrong.
Right.
You just kind of say, oh, okay, well, this what do you call it? It's what's the phrase? It's not that kind of party. It's just not that kind of party.
That's right.
For me.
Yes. Not that kind of party. And there's really no difference in anything sexual as, like, for example, Lana is an INTJ. I am not. That would be like me constantly hopping on Lana to not be an INTJ. Why would I do that? She's my friend. She is who she is. I accept her for who she is, and we're able to be friends like that. Now, if I totally hated INTJs, then guess what? I would be honest with myself and be like, I can't be friends with you because I despise your every action. Right? So that's it. And why is it not that simple when it comes to relationships? It should be.
I always say wishful thinking and politeness. They ruin everything in relationships, because there are people who will sit around and put up with stuff that they shouldn't because of the wishful thinking of thinking that they're trying to get some other thing, and so they're putting up with it to get something else out of the relationship.
Have you ever heard this phrase? It's one of my favorite phrases ever. Don't try to teach a pig to sing.
Yeah.
It'll waste your time and piss off the pig.
Yeah.
That's it. So stop trying to change people and
go find somebody you don't have to change. That's already somebody that works for you.
Exactly.
Right?
So, and these are things that we do in a relationship that cause and bring us to the point of cheating. You may be able to live, like, for example, let's say, in since cheating is a sexual thing mostly, and not always, I believe it's something else too, and we'll get to that in a minute. But if it's a sexual thing and you meet a girl or a guy and they're vanilla sex and you are not, you're more of a freak, you may be able to deal with that for a while. Eventually, you're not going to. You're going to be like, I need more. I need that freak, And
if you invest too much in the relationship you're in, then here's the logic of it. If you invest too much in the relationship you're in and you're 4 years into it, putting up with the vanilla of it, or whatever, and then at some point you can't take it anymore.
That's right.
The right person crosses your path and they like what you like, forget it.
That's right.
And you can't, if you actually can keep it to yourself and not involved with a person that crosses your path that wants what you want after 4 years of being with somebody you don't want. Right. Of course, it's torture. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's also something that I'd be surprised that you wouldn't go for as a person.
Correct. And so let's say it's the guy, right? And we're going to blame the guy here for a minute because I'm a guy and, I don't want to get beat up. So let's say it's the guy that goes out and cheats. Whose fault is it? It's his fault, completely his fault. He already knew that woman that he's with her even though she's not what he wants.
Right.
And then somebody comes along, whether it could be anything too. That's why, and I think we talked about this in show notes. We talked a little bit about how when somebody a couple has a baby, a lot of shit changes because now they start focusing on the baby. They don't focus on each other anymore. And they really do miss it without actually realizing that we're not doing this anymore. But then somebody outside comes along and gives you that attention. You're not getting it home. Now, all of a sudden you're like, ooh, that felt really good.
Yep. I missed this. And I didn't realize how much I missed this, but
yes. Yeah. But here's somebody willing to give it to me.
Right.
That's how.
And I don't have to worry about who's watching the baby. I don't have to worry about whatever the complication is that's inside the house. And the same thing, things can happen like this with, I was in show notes, we were discussing different things that would cause your world to be turned upside down at home at some point for a little while, maybe briefly, temporarily, like illness or somebody loses a job or something that creates a lack of romance in a relationship.
Right.
If you lose your job and you have a girlfriend or boyfriend that's just on your case to get a job and that's all they can talk about, you're going to be not very romantically inclined with that person.
Yeah, or guys as well. And it goes for guys. So
that's what I'm saying. Either way.
A guy that loses his job feels like less of a man. So now he may not feel like he deserves. Maybe. And I know it sounds stupid, but it is. And it's happened to me in my life where, I wasn't working and I felt like a shitbag. I should be providing for this woman, so I don't deserve to have sex with her. But then somebody else rolls around in your life and you're like, oh,
I don't have to impress this person. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just,
whatever. It's just one part.
I'm not saying I did it, but I know what it feels like to have feeling come around and you're like, okay, I could do this because I'm not supposed to be supporting her. I'm not supposed to be giving her all this stuff. So my job is irrelevant here. This is just about,
your self-worth isn't tied up in it, basically.
Correct.
Or at least not when it's in the beginning when you're tempted. It might be when you're done, but that's another story.
Yeah, it should be.
But anyway, we were going to do some statistics, and I'm going to do that. Now, I just pulled up a random site.
Yes.
Before you say to me, hey, the site isn't valid or it's a bunch of crap, it's not really, I'm not looking for college journals here.
Right. It's an example.
I will give you the site just in case you want to check it out for yourself, and it's hetexted.com, so it's one of these sites that's probably a little bit more of a skim site and doesn't have deep stuff here, but it's telling me unmarried relationships, 30 to 40% of unmarried relationships have cheaters, generally. In marriages, 18 to 20%. People worldwide, 44%. So that's everybody, both genders, everywhere, whatever, all ages. American, 70%. English, 40 to 50%.
American, 70%? Oh, of all. Of all.
Yeah, that's not just married or unmarried or anything.
So in the United States,
everybody in America, that's
every other country combined.
Right.
Spectacular.
Yeah, so the percentage of marriages that experience infidelity is 18 to 20%, while 79% of the wives, and I was saying this earlier to Dave in show notes, while 79% of the wives who assume that their husbands are involved in infidelity are right, about 62% of the husbands who assume their wives are involved in infidelity are right. And I personally attribute that to women are usually trying to second guess themselves because they think they're being ridiculous. And men are generally damn sure you're cheating, whether you're doing it or not, because it has a lot to do with ego. So what the numbers come out as is a lot less women are cheating on the men than men are cheating on the women because of the way that they view
12% less. Yeah.
Right.
12% less women are
right.
wrong.
So a lot of women may either not want to know what's going on or know and ignore it, or
that's always been a thing,
think that it's them being paranoid about it,
Yeah. I mean, I hear about it today, especially with the younger women. I see it online, and here's the thing. I and you know how much I hate this, and I've talked about it in past podcasts, where a woman will say, that whore better stop sleeping with my man. Well, that whore has got nothing to do with you and your man, first of all.
Yeah, but you know how much easier it is to blame the person outside your house.
And again, I think that's why there's acceptance, more acceptance. Right. Women accept it more, where a guy will be like, nope, she cheated, I'm done. Women will accept it and continue on the relationship, which I think is horribly weak. And if you hear me say that, and you're with a man that cheated on you one time, you're horribly weak. And I know you're not going to like it, then go ahead and call 800-894-2158 and rip me.
Or send us a message and have Dave tell Dave what a douchebag he is.
And I'll explain.
But I understand. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You go ahead and explain.
So, I think that the reality behind this is, a lot of women will be like, oh, well, if I was, and I hate hearing it. If I was out of sorts because of work and I wasn't having sex with him that often and blah, blah, blah. Listen, you are who you are. If you're not sexually compatible, somebody needs to be honest with somebody. That's why I think cheating is a very horrible thing, because you should be able to go. And I've been in a relationship with somebody, and I can say this out loud now. I won't say who, but our sex life dwindled substantially. And I said to her, listen, I go, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go out tonight, and I'm going to go to a bar, and I'm going to meet somebody, and I'm going to have sex with them. Do you want me to come home, or should we break up? Because that is something. And this wasn't something that just came out one night. This was a conversation that had been going on for a year, and I was done. I was like, okay, one of two things is happening here. Either it's really going to change, or I'm leaving. So, and that's the way I said it, maybe a little crude, but is it not factual and logical? What do you think is going to happen? If I'm a hypersexual guy and I like to have sex every day, and I'm with somebody who just doesn't care about it all of a sudden and it goes away, I'm going elsewhere, and I will let you know. We can stay in a relationship, but I can get my sex somewhere else if that's what you want.
Right.
I'd prefer not to, of course.
I kind of agree with that. In my relationships, I've never luckily had to say it.
Yeah.
But I have thought that if I'm in a relationship with somebody, and to me, part of my relationship being with that person is that the sex is available.
Right.
To me, when I kind of, whenever I want it in a way or whatever, it's like not something I have to worry about. Where's it coming from, basically?
Correct.
That's kind of one of the reasons I commit. I'm sure not a lot of women say that, but that's my stance on it.
But it should be. If you're a sexual person, that's going to be okay. But the thing is that I believe that before you go out and cheat and destroy somebody's world, you should have a conversation and say, this is what's going to happen. Not, it might happen. And you know what? If she dumps your ass or he dumps your ass when you say that, then so be it. At least they're words, and you're not creating you're giving them the information, and you're giving them an option to make a choice. Yes. And that's really, and people are afraid to give choices because they're afraid of the answer that they're going to get. And that to me is another weakness. So if you cheat, you are also weak. So, you should have the balls to say, hey, I'm not, I want different sex from somebody else. And if she dumps you, well, then you can go have sex with somebody else. But see, people don't want to lose what they currently have.
That's the thing. And that's why I'm saying, I said earlier on, if you're with somebody that you don't want to be with, but you stay there because you don't want to be by yourself.
Terrible.
So let's say you are pretty, you're pretty wild in the sex, but you have somebody with you that you're with that's fairly vanilla and really isn't giving you what you want. The longer you invest in the relationship you're in, the more you'll have to lose if you crack, and you probably will crack.
Yeah, and you'll probably end up cheating, and it's going to cause a lot more damage to that family unit that you've created instead of just being honest. And that's why you hear us say it all the time: be honest with yourself and others, and let people make decisions based upon what you want. It's as simple as that. So
I know.
Now there's Lana mentioned a little earlier about what cheating is. I have a different take on what cheating is.
I was just going to get into can I just read this real quick? Because I want to see if this is where you're going.
Yeah, probably.
At the bottom of this sheet here, it says emotional affairs are more frequent than any other type of infidelity. That around 90% of women and around 77% of men worldwide admit to having committed emotional affair, meaning that they get involved or close with somebody outside of the relationship, but it's not sexual. It's they confide in somebody, or they go outside the relationship and tell this other person what's going on at home, or something happens where you're bonding in intimate bonding with somebody outside the relationship, but it's not sexual. It's just you know what I mean? It may turn into that, but that's
and that's really what I was going to say too, is that I believe emotional cheating is just as bad as sleeping with somebody. However, I want to recant that a little bit, because now listening to it from somebody else's mouth gives me a chance to hear it as opposed to saying it. And when I heard that, being intimate or having intimate conversation with somebody else, don't you do that with your friends?
You do, but what I'm saying is, I think that's not what I read. That was my take on it with your actual relationship. Meaning, if you go outside your relationship and if you're taking energy from your relationship and handing it over, and I actually do believe with your friends. also there should be certain things that are, relationship issues that sometimes you don't go and sit and talk to your friends about unless you're like
True.
conflicted about a major decision.
True.
And so how, what an idiot the guy that you're dating is, it's not something your friend should be hearing all the time.
Correct. Because
you know what I mean? Like, in other words, there's more to it than that. You're making it, you're obviously staying there. So what you're doing is you're kind of making these people you're with they sort of going to feel a certain way about this guy you're with, and it's just going to cause an issue.
And it does all the time.
Right.
And you hear it all the time. And that's the thing. So here's my take on that whole piece is that if you are out, let's say I am in a relationship and I go out with another woman, here's the kicker. If I go out and I lie and say I'm out with the guys, if I have to lie about where I'm going, I shouldn't be going, period. Right. That's cheating. And I don't care what it is.
Yep.
I honestly don't. Yeah.
If the person you're with doesn't want to know, or you can't tell them, or you feel like you have to lie. Yeah. That's definitely, correct. That's deception.
So, and listen, I have a friend, and this was years ago, and I'm going to tell a story here. And this is the most insane story you'll hear about cheating. And I thought it was cheating the whole time. So at the beginning of their relationship, he had an affair. He got the woman pregnant. She had a child. He lied for 15 years. I'm going out with the guys. But guess where he was going?
Okay.
Work. To a job, a second job that he could pay his child support out of without his wife knowing for 15 years. So
how much is his wife looking at the checking account or the banking account or whatever? She's obviously not paying attention to some stuff.
He had a whole separate account for just child support and all that stuff. But he used to lie and say, I'm going out with the guys, when he would be going to work it was a whole separate job that get deposited into a separate account that was just for his child support. So imagine 15 years, what she found. And she found out eventually because there was some kind of letter came in the mail or something about his daughter. And it wasn't really a daughter, it was a son. Or maybe it was a daughter, or maybe it was a son. I'm trying to jumble it.
Yeah, whatever. It was a child.
Yeah. So but imagine her finding out that for 15 years he had been going to work, had a job she didn't know about. That in itself is cheating. Was he having an affair every time he said, I'm going out with the guys, and go out with a girl? Nope. He went to a job. That is still cheating because he lied for 15 years. Imagine how
that in a way was taking away from the relationship. It was a third party in the relationship.
Of course.
Just like booze or anything else.
Of course.
It doesn't have to be a person.
That's right. It's a form of cheating because when you have to lie to somebody to do something, then it was a long lie. It was a lot of years of lying, and maybe had he just been honest and said, hey, I had an affair when we were first dating. They weren't even married yet. So she probably would have been like, well, you suck. You shouldn't have done that. And he's like, yeah, it's not going to happen again. But she got pregnant and, I'm going to do the right thing. And, it may have been fine. But 15 years of not knowing.
And now,
husband.
What happens? The daughter grows up. Doesn't she say, hey, where's doesn't she ever go investigating about where her dad lives or anything?
Yeah, he did see her on occasion too. So
right, but wasn't she curious about his life in any way, or she would have noticed that he was you know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, the daughter knew him, knew where he lived, knew everything, and knew he was married, and that she didn't know about him, and she knew the whole story because she was old.
So that's not fair to the daughter either, technically.
No, of course it's not. I mean, that's really her stepmother, and so in reality, the pain that was caused of realizing that 15 years your husband lied to you and was actually going to work when he was supposed to be out having fun with his friends, to support a lie he created way at the beginning is a horrendous thing. It's like, I don't know you.
I mean, you have a person in your house that person should have the opportunity to make a choice. It might not be a choice you like.
That's correct.
But that's 15 years of somebody's life that they have to now reckon.
That's right.
Reconcile that they were with somebody for 15 years and could have been doing something completely different and didn't have an option because they didn't have the information.
Correct. Yeah. So cheating comes in all forms, as we're discussing. So Now, the logic behind cheating is, I think, is again, not being honest with yourself or the person that you're with, no matter what it is. And look, there was somebody that I dated that was in a full-blown relationship before when we met. We were friends. We had an obvious connection. It was blatantly obvious, but we didn't do anything about it because we remained friends and still talked on the phone every day and blah, blah, blah. And she ended up leaving him because she felt it's the right thing to do. I need to leave. And because guess what? It's the right thing to do. If I feel like this about somebody else, I need to go. Now, we never kissed. We never acted on anything. We never even talked about the connection, because it's not right to do. Of course, he doesn't believe one thing, the ex.
Right.
He believes we were cheating the whole time.
Of course.
And he was wrong.
Okay. But I'm not surprised.
Well, you had a connection. That's cheating in itself. And I go, well, she broke up with you when she realized there was a connection. So, we had a conversation and, he didn't want to hear any of that, but, don't call me then. What do you want me to, because I'm going to be logical about this. I'm not mad at you. I get your frustration. I even said that. I get it. I get you hurt and, and I said, I promise you'll live, and I even said to him, and remember this, if your relationship is perfect and your relationship is great, then there would be no me. I wouldn't exist. That connection would not have been able to exist if everything was great.
And what you're doing is, in a way, you're giving him information, telling him that things were not right, and he had to face that. And that probably wasn't fun for him.
No, of course not.
It would have been much easier to sweep it under the rug and then keep doing whatever it was they were doing.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So, and I think it's brutally honest. I mean, I think it's really important to be brutally honest about this stuff because, if somebody cheats, and I hate this, once a cheater, always a cheater. Just because somebody cheated on you does not mean he's going to cheat on the next person. And if he does, then he's got a pattern of picking people he's not compatible with. And
right. But you and I have a slight disagreement on this saying, and I believe that it comes down to somebody's actual character. So you can be in a relationship with somebody you're not supposed to be, and somebody that you do like can walk by, and it's a matter of your character about how you actually handle it.
Right.
And if you do cheat, it kind of means that you're okay with not giving the person at home the information and going behind their back. If you do that once, I don't believe that the character that you display by doing that changes.
What about the person that cheats and then tells that they cheated?
Well, that's different. But in a way, it depends, I guess, on the situation.
I can tell you when I was 18 years old, I had a girlfriend.
You're going to go, this is a story about you. I know. This is going to be different than most people, but yes. Go ahead.
But I wasn't different when I was a kid. When I was younger, I definitely had I was all the idiot. I was the wicked, jealous, possessive guy, all that crap. I cheated on my girlfriend that I loved very much. I was drinking. Not that that's an excuse. That's not an excuse. And I was at a party and my ex was there and everybody was in the hot tub, hammered, and something happened. After everybody left the hot tub, her and I were still talking. We realized we were alone. Things happened. The next day, I told my girlfriend.
Right.
And the pain that it caused her broke my heart. And I thought, for 3 minutes of excitement, this is what I did.
Right. And that would speak to your character. And I would say that you weren't really a cheater in the sense that you were okay with it. You didn't give yourself the permission to do it. You didn't justify it.
No.
If I say once a cheater, always a cheater, it's going to be more like the type of person that would do that to maintain the relationship that they have at home. If they do that once and it doesn't really faze them too much like a serial killer, the next one's just going to be a lot easier for them if they already think the first one is fine. So that's what I mean.
There are habitual cheaters. There's no question. But, the fairness of saying that statement is a broad statement. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Was I a cheater? Yes, I cheated. That I would fit in that mold, cheater. Does that mean that I ever cheated on anybody else ever again? And I'm talking when I was 18. Right. I'm now 56. I've never cheated ever.
But I don't believe that statement is personal to you, Dave.
It's not.
You know what I mean?
It's not,
There's always
but
going to
it's
be
not.
exceptions to everything like that. I think that's a majority statement. I don't think everybody in the world is going to fall under that category.
No, correct.
I think most that are.
Well, I mean, I have conversation with women that have been cheated on, and they're like, you know, and they say it all the time. Well, once a cheat, always a cheat. He's going to cheat on everybody. I go, you know, and what's funny is there are women that got with somebody while they were with somebody else, and I'm like, okay, so this is his thing. When he's done with a relationship, he moves on to the next one before he ends the other one. That is a pattern in itself that is totally separate. Is it cheating? Of course it is. There's way more to it, though. There's logic behind that. There are many people that they break up with somebody and a week later they're talking to somebody else. And then everybody always thinks, oh my God, you were with this person before. Because now 3 weeks later, you're in a full blown relationship. How did that happen? So, you know, people think, oh, you've been cheating the whole time, right? And they really haven't.
Well, I don't think they were. I think a lot of people do wait in the wings, though, and I think a lot of people are in the pipeline. There may not be anything going on,
right?
But there are people that are waiting,
right? You know? I agree with that.
So you may meet somebody immediately after you break up with somebody that you've never seen in your life, but technically it's somebody that already kind of knows you and you've been around somewhat.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
That doesn't make it right or wrong. I mean, it doesn't make it wrong, actually, because you're not really with anybody at that point. But.
Well, here's the thing. Today, we're in this whole world of bigger, better deal. And I hate it. You know, people are never, ever satisfied. And the reason they're never satisfied, and look, I'm not satisfied with my own personal life. I need to grow every day. That's my goal in my life, but that's my personal goal. If I bring somebody else into my life, well, and I make a commitment, I'm going to see that commitment through until I can't any longer. If it's not what I need in my life, then I will have the balls. And guys, if you cheat, you need to have the balls to say, hey, this is not doing it for me.
Right.
And this is what I need, but you're not that. That's okay. And people don't realize that it's okay.
Everybody's worried about hurting everybody's feelings.
Well, they are kind of. They're not worried about hurting other people's feelings. They're worried about what the person is going to do when they tell them. You know, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings when I say, you know, you're just not the type of person that I would want to spend the rest of my life with. Why? Let me give you an example. And here's a reason why it doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that's not what I'm looking for. Right. Like, right. I personally,
but how many people, I personally don't think it's a problem, but a lot of people don't like hearing that.
Right. Like, I personally am not attracted to heavy women. Heavy women get mad at me for saying that. I go, listen, I think you're beautiful. And I think everybody's beautiful. It's just what I'm attracted to. Listen, that would be like every blonde getting pissed at me when I say, hey, I prefer brunettes. Well, the blonde's not getting mad at me. You know, that's your own insecurity. I'm attracted to what I'm attracted to. And that's okay. I'm not.
Well, so for women, I would say for women only because I am one, and I can tell you from this side of it, you have to, if you're not happy with who you are, and I don't care what it is that the issue is, if it's losing weight, if it's hitting the gym, if it's whatever it is that you don't like, you need to, and again, there's a y-axis or an x-axis between what you believe is sufficient or what you're comfortable with in yourself, and then what you feel like you need to change. So you may have a goal of what you want to be, and you may have to mix it with what you will accept for who you are, where you are, whatever. You have to find a balance in there, and you really have to like yourself, because if you don't, then you're going to compromise yourself for other people, and you're going to get offended by stuff that people say like that. I mean, you know, and so I don't have blue eyes, and I always use eyes because it shouldn't make any difference, but it's just really the same thing to me.
It is. It's exactly.
You know, like, I don't have blue eyes, and if you don't like women who have brown eyes, I can't be like, I'm gonna start screaming at some guy and be like, how dare you not like women with brown eyes? What kind of a jerk are you? And be like, whatever. If he likes blue eyes, he likes blue eyes. The reason I know that is because I like blue eyes, so I happen to be aware of that, whatever.
Yeah. It's like, you know, somebody asked me the other day, would you ever date a transgender? I said, no. And they go, well, that's kind of being a little bit. And I go, no, I don't like penises at all. You know, that does not mean that I don't like them as a human being. It just means I don't want that when I go in the bed.
Well, everybody likes what they like.
Correct.
Whatever that is.
Yes.
And whatever they don't like is not, they're not knocking. It's just not it's not their thing.
Right.
However, I have met people. We had a conversation this week in my group where I was trying to explain something that somebody posted about a girl who was just sort of like, she was looking to hook up.
Mm-hmm.
And she was meeting guys for hookups, and she was saying, well, these guys are telling me that they're fine with hookups, or they're trying to make sure that I'm aware that it's hookup only so I don't get carried away with it or whatever. But there was one girl that was just kind of like, what's the point of a hookup? And I said to her, it may not be. First, my question was, what do you mean, what's the point of it? Because I didn't understand the question.
Right.
And she was just kind of like, well, it's just pointless. It just doesn't seem to make any sense. I'm like, that might be how you see it.
The point is an orgasm. Thank you.
But I mean, like it doesn't matter whether you see a point in it or I see a point in it. It may be not what we feel like is the right thing to do. And you may be demisexual, and demisexual is technically means that like I really can't get sexually excited about somebody that I don't have a connection with or I don't have some type of bond with.
Yep.
That's your thing, but that doesn't mean everybody in the world has to follow your thing.
Correct.
So everything that's not your thing is not pointless.
Oh.
It's just not your thing. So I was trying to explain that to her. What you're doing here is you're taking everything that you don't do and you're trying to tell us that it's a pointless thing.
Right. And it's the same thing with looks. So it works all that way too. Yep.
Exactly. So it's kind of like what you don't like is not a terrible thing. It's not an ugly thing.
No.
It's not a wrong thing. It's just not your thing. And a million people are out there that like stuff that's different than you. People have to understand that.
Yeah,
and don't get me wrong.
I get aggravated with guys that like look at somebody who they're not attracted to and go, "Oh, she's ugly," and I go, "Why is she ugly? Because she's not your type?" That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Let me tell you So I frequented when I was in the band. I frequented strip clubs, a lot of them, and we went to a strip club. I was out in California, and I went to a strip club called Jumbo's, and all the women were 350 pounds plus. They were big girls, big. Like I saw some girls in there that must have weighed 600, 700 pounds. They were huge. And that place was packed. And it was not packed with people making fun of these women. It was packed with guys that were oogling over these women. So the thing is that everybody has what they're attracted to. I have friends that, nope, I prefer a heavy girl. I like the rolls. I think they're sexy. Yeah. To me, not my thing. To him, it's thing.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't
go, yeah, I could never date a girl like that. She's like a stick. She's like a bone, Yeah. Yeah. I like big butts and I cannot lie. Think of the words, right?
Right. It's to me, it's kind of like the type of thing where everybody. Oh, I had a point that I was going to make, and here's what I normally say. I always say we all have fans and critics.
Yes.
So if you know me personally and you try to give me a compliment, I'm always going to go, it'll depend. It's so bad. It's terrible, but I can't help it. I always think compliments are, I'm starting to do the cheesecake analogy. You want to hear my analogy? Cheesecake. I don't like cheesecake, but if you give me cheesecake and then tell me that I should thank you for it and eat it because you gave it to me and you're being nice, I find that
great
ridiculous.
Analogy, because more people will understand that than somebody going to you, I think you're beautiful. And you go,
Well, yes, but there are also people who think cheesecake and compliments become so different that analogy is ridiculous. And I'm like, no,
it's really not.
You're handing me something. You think that you're offering me something and you think it's a gift, but I don't eat cheesecake. So you're going to keep giving me cheesecake until I like it. You're going to tell me that, oh, you want cheesecake. You just don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
So I end up with 14 cheesecakes in my house and I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I don't eat these things. Toss them in the trash.
Yep.
That seems like a waste, right? But anyway, that's my analogy about compliments. And my analogy about compliments rolls over into, there are people that you may find me you might find me to be an absolute goddess, but there's a guy next to you that's probably going to think I'm rat bait. And there's another guy that's next to him that's going to think I'm neither. And I'm just sort of like, what's that word from 16 Candles? Void.
The void, plain Jane. Yeah.
Like just void. Like there's nothing. They don't find me exciting. They don't find me unexciting. They just like, I'm
it's
sort of
there.
I'm like the furniture.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's all, I understand as a person that I'm going to be all these things to all these different people.
Yes.
I don't want to be drop dead gorgeous to every guy I meet. That's not realistic to me.
And you can't be. And I think that's what people struggle with today. And again, the reason why we're talking about all this is because it all has to do with cheating. It really does. Because if you're trying to be everything to everybody, you're not. You have to be honest with yourself about who you are and what your shortcomings are too. For example, if you know that you're vanilla in bed, and that's what you like, that's okay. But be honest about it. Like, I'm the CEO of a company. I have weaknesses that I cannot do within a company. And the reason my businesses succeed is because I know what my weaknesses are and I find somebody to fill them. So here's this. If you're vanilla in bed and your guy is a freak, and I'm only picking on the ladies here for a minute because it's usually the other way. Well, it's not usually the other way around, but it is sometimes. But let's say one of you is a freak and one of you is vanilla, then you need to be honest about that with yourself, because it's not going to work. He may say, oh no, I love you anyway, but he's going to be missing it, or she's going to be missing it, whoever the other one is. And it might be the other way around too. I've actually seen vanilla people cheat on freaks because they just wanted to feel comfortable in bed and not feel like they were performing, or however they suggested it made them feel. Right. They actually went and cheated. The vanilla person cheated on the freak. And so it can go either way. You need to be compatible. And compatibility, and I'm not talking about just sex either. I know it's going there because we're talking about cheating, and so many people associate sex with cheating or cheating with sex. It could be anything. It could be.
I think it's a symptom. I actually feel like it's a symptom.
I think it is too.
Of two people that
are not compatible,
connect somehow outside of their relationship, and that's a symptom of the connection.
Yeah, of course. Of course, because that's all part of what a relationship is supposed to be. So it ends up going there. And we hear about an affair. Well, he had an affair. He was having an affair with this. I have a friend whose wife was having an affair on him for 5 years that he didn't know about. And they were planning babies and everything else once she got a divorce. And he probably never would have got a divorce if he didn't find these emails she left open on her computer at home. He saw one open and he looked at it and he was like, what the fuck is that? So now he starts going through and realized it was 5 years of this shit. And all their plans, and him coming over to the house, and when my buddy wasn't there, and it destroyed him. That's terrible. Yeah. If you want to be with somebody else, man up and say, you're not my person. We grew up.
Right.
We grew up. Now,
before you buy a house together, before you get married, before you have children, before you have all this stuff that ties you together that you have to then now unravel.
Right.
Because that's really why people just cheat and don't leave.
Yep. They don't want to unravel.
Yeah, they don't want to go to have their whole world tipped upside down. They're settled in their suburban home or whatever it is. They're in their PTA, and whatever they're doing is all the way they want it, except this one thing that they're not happy with. And that one thing will eventually, I think, take down everything else.
It will. Yeah.
Why entrench yourself in the first place and all?
Being unhappy in a relationship is like termites. It's going to grow and grow, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse if you don't fix the problem, or at least address the problem. It's going to destroy your home. So, in the there was something else I wanted to say about cheating too, and it kind of escaped my mind. Give me 1 second, and you talk, and I'll see if I can find it.
I'll talk. Oh, talk. Oh, I'm on the spot.
You're like, oh no.
I will say that I believe that you really have to be. I always say this, and I really do believe when it comes to cheating, you really have to be happy with yourself as a solo person. You have to be at a point where you're comfortable with who you are. You're confident in who you are. If you're not, you will really put up with a lot of crap from other people trying to impress them. And part of that is, you don't want somebody that is that type of person to do that to you and have you put up with it.
Right.
So start with, who do I feel like do I value myself? And then, write down a list of things that you won't compromise on, or you refuse to put up with, and refer to that list, when you're, I really do believe being single and by yourself and solo. I don't think you should be single for life, but I really think you should be comfortable with it and not afraid to end up single, because that's what people make. That's why they make these decisions based on. is fear.
Yep. So I have the thought that went away for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people come to me and say, "Hey, listen, you're pretty good with, talking to me about my relationship. And I got a question. Do you think if somebody cheats, do you think that the relationship can be recovered and still work?" Now, here's the thing. This is what I always ask the woman. Can you completely forget about it? Like truly trust him?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can't trust somebody, it's never going to work. And then I would say to the guy, if you can't have that, you created drama in your relationship. If you are not willing to go above and beyond to make her feel comfortable and safe, then no, it won't work. And the woman, if you're not going to be able to ever trust him again, it's not going to work. If you're going to require this, now at the beginning, I get it. Like I tell somebody, if he cheated and he says, "What can I do? She'll never trust me again." Oh, she will. Stay in contact with text. If you're going to be late, tell her where and why. Things like that, just to kind of ease her a little bit, because you earned that bullshit.
Right.
Now, if she's like that and up my ass 24/7 and I never did anything, I'm going to despise that.
Of course.
Right? I'm going to hate it. But I believe that that's something you have to do, whether you like it or not. Too bad you brought it on yourself. You have to do that. And to the woman, she needs to slowly start allowing that trust. And that has to happen less and less and less until she knows that I feel completely safe.
Right.
He would never do it again. And here's the problem. Talk is cheap. Words are bullshit today.
And unfortunately, it's so weird to me. For me, the most, I guess it's like we go back to this why podcast we did. Yeah. I was thinking about that the other day. If you stop listening to what people say to you and you start trying to focus on why they're saying it, I'm telling you, the world will change. The world will change.
Absolutely.
So people that are, if somebody comes up to me and has any kind of subjective, I call it a sales pitch. I mean, I really don't know what else to call it.
Right.
About who they are. There are things that you're only going to learn about somebody over time. You're just going to learn over time who they are about certain things. They can tell you all they want about how great they are about whatever it is they're talking about.
Yep.
But really, it's going to take time and patience for you to learn it. And there's no other way.
That's correct.
To do it. If somebody is trying to shortcut that and they're really, really pushy about it, that's suspicious to me.
Especially today. My grandfather used to say to me, "Your word is your bond." Never say anything that you don't mean. Don't say anything that you won't do, and stick with your word to the best you can. And, obviously there are things come up in life where you can't do what you hope to do, and that happens. But if you're a person of your word, which not too many people are anymore, it's kind of sad. I noticed a lot. So even in relationships, so I go through the dating process. I have a conversation with somebody and I tell them stuff about myself that is put there on purpose. These are some things that you may not like about me. How's that? That's what I give up right away. Okay. I don't give up all the great things about me right away because you'll find out. And
plus it's, I don't know. It seems ingenuine.
It does. In a way. It does. Yeah. I'm not.
Am I a solid person? Am I a good partner for somebody that comes along? Sure. But I'm not going to tell you how great I am. That's so weird to me.
Yeah. And
it's so weird to me.
And here's the thing. Am I a good catch for somebody? Yeah, absolutely. Maybe not. It depends on
not everybody, but somebody.
Correct. Yeah, somebody. Of course, I'm a perfect catch for somebody, and whoever's listening to this, you're a perfect catch for somebody too. And everybody is a perfect catch for somebody.
There's a lid for every pot.
There sure is.
Oh, there's an old school saying.
I don't think there really is. I have a pot I can't find a fucking lid for in my life.
Unless you're in Dave's house.
Yeah, unless you're in my house.
Don't get a lid.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw the pot away. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, there you go. You have a pot without a lid? What the hell do you need a pot for?
I've literally bought 3 different lids. I measured it, and I bought the lids, and they just, it's something wrong with me.
Okay, well, that analogy didn't go very well for Dave's kitchen.
No, it didn't. But yes, there is a lid for every pot. Good analogy, because usually there is. But yeah,
there will be somebody that likes everybody out there for who they are.
100%.
Obviously you're going to have to like them back for who they are. And that's, of course, that's the big match game that we're always playing. And it doesn't always work.
It's a difficult one. Yeah, it sucks. Because we were talking about this last night. We had a conversation, Lana and I were on the phone, believe it or not. And it was probably longer than the podcast. Yep. And So we were talking about how when you meet somebody, as soon as they tell you, I'm really not interested, that is your answer. Go, leave, you're done. They're not.
Right. But why wouldn't you? Why would you do anything else?
I know. And
that's what they told you. I mean, nobody knows them better than them.
Yep. If you have to fight your way and people are like, well, you should fight for what you want. Well, not so much.
Does it want you?
Correct. Because if it doesn't want you, and it may just, listen, I know sales, okay? And sales, if you push and push and push, eventually people will fold. You ever been to a place where they try to sell you timeshare? They will push and push and push until you cave. Then you'll go home and what will you do? Cancel. Because what they've done is they've pushed you to the point where you're like, I don't want to hear it anymore. Yes, I'll buy it. And you write them a damn check. So it does happen in relationships too, by the way. So when you push and push and push, you've got somebody that doesn't really want you. And they're not going to want you because they already told you they didn't want you.
I know.
I mean, yes. And we were talking about this last night and we said sometimes it does. And you go, damn it. That sucks. That was a good one. I wanted that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, you may have to turn your back on some good stuff that you really thought you were going to.
Yeah.
You know, but I will say that there are times that there are people who I always call tire kickers. So if you're the type of person who is approaching people, usually this is men, but sometimes it's women. More women need to do it, and you'll need to connect with me and get that done because I really believe women should be a little more proactive in the dating game. But if you are approaching and you are making it clear that you're interested, some people are going to say yes because there's nothing else going on. They're never going to tell you that.
No, of course not.
There are ways to get that. There's ways to I call suss that out, or there's ways to screen it.
Yeah. Please.
But there are people who will be interested back just because it's a slow week for them and there's really nothing else going on, or they don't have to make the effort. They can just say yes, and it's easy for them to do. Yeah. But it's not really what they want. So
especially this time of the year, right? You'll see all new relationships begin.
Yeah.
Right now. The holidays are coming. We're watching TV commercials and TV shows and movies, and it's all based on love, love, love. And it makes, like I said in our last podcast, I said, you know, all these commercials are set to make me feel like a loser because I'm single, and I'm not. I'm fine single.
Right.
The thing is that if I was a weak man, then an approach from somebody that I wasn't really interested in would be an approach better than none.
It would be an opportunity for you at that point. Right. Like, you know what? I'm sitting around in my house eating Doritos or whatever.
Watch how many people end up in a relationship now through the holidays.
And right before Valentine's Day.
And then right before Valentine's Day, it's over.
Yeah.
So
I actually see a lot of it. You know what I really see a lot of it? New Year's Eve. I don't know why, but New Year's Eve is a really big breaking point for a lot of people who weren't happy. It's for long-term relationships and for people who were together for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know what the stress of New Year's is, but for some reason,
I don't think it's a stress.
Doing good.
It's the resolution thing.
Maybe, but
I think people are like,
it's usually like, it seems to always seem to be dramatic, and people are mad, and they're on Facebook or they're on social media bashing each other and all kinds of stuff like that. It just seems like that. I don't know if it's because they're drinking or what. I don't know what it is, but something about New Year's Eve makes people, makes things crack and give in and cave and not work right. So
that's right. So,
from what I see,
I hope you guys really appreciated this, because cheating is a very serious thing, and there is a logic behind it. If you just take the time and look at it and say, why did this person cheat? And don't blame yourself. What about that person made them cheat? And analyze that if you can. And if you do cheat, analyze that as well, and stop being honest with yourself. And so
you usually know the answer. It's usually in your relationship and somebody's not talking about it.
It is. You know the answers. You already have the answers, because guess what? Nobody's in your head but you. You already know. You know, I tell people that all the time. You already have the answer. Just be honest about it. Open your mouth and say it.
And like I've said before, you can tell us and people around you anything you want about how great you are, how great your partner is, how wonderful life is. Well, you're going to go home and you have to face yourself in your life.
That's right.
So you can tell us whatever you want. It doesn't matter, because we don't live with you. We don't date you. We're not there at the end of the day. So
it doesn't affect me at all. So
Right. So it doesn't matter if you're honest about it or not. And if you're lying, it's not going to make your life when you go home any easier.
it doesn't. Because what's in your head, you already know. So, yeah. So I've been I was going to say I've been Lana. I'm not okay.
He thinks he's been Lana. Maybe he had a dream that he was. I don't know.
Maybe I've been Lana.
I've been Dave. Dave and I do switch out sometimes and act like each other. So I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
It's an accident. Yeah. She's going to be all lovey and try to hug me, and I'm going to hate it.
There you go. We're going to try that. Someday Dave will come down here and we'll try that.
Yeah, we will. We'll try that. Okay. You heard it here. She said, I love her and hug her.
I'll try to hug him and I'll have him try to hate it. And we'll see how that goes.
Not going to go well for you.
Or you.
Oh, no, because I'm going to like it.
Oh, well,
I won't really hate it.
If I try to act like I like it, you have to try to act like you hate it, and you have to be genuine about it. But
fair enough. We're gonna do that. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll do it on a live. That's gonna be.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. If you wanna see me and Lana hug, she's gonna act like she wants to really hug me and hold me for like minutes on end, and I'm gonna pretend I hate it. We'll see
minutes. Oof, I'm already cringing.
I know.
I'm already cringing. Just the thought of it.
It's never gonna happen. We're gonna.
I just ate, and I'm trying to keep my food down.
Yep.
So we are on www.lanaanddave.com.
Yes. We
have all of our podcasts are up there. All of our platforms are there. All of our social media is there. So that's our central page where you can find everything.
Yes, that's where you can find it.
Right. And then buymeacoffee.com// Lana and Dave. That's how you buy us coffees. And of course, I hope Christmas is coming, so I hope we're going to start getting a lot of coffee.
Yeah, we better get a lot of coffee.
I mean, I want enough coffee that like by June, I'm still trying to finish it.
Yes, please. Yeah, we need coffee. We need coffee for Christmas. So
yeah,
Christmas coffee. Don't be cheap. Buy us a coffee.
No foo-foo stuff. I just want that regular stuff. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too.
And what else? We are going to have a podcast next week, so you will have to tune back in.
Yes.
And listen to us next week. We will be back and checking all you guys out. Anything else you want to say, Dave?
Yeah, I missed you guys not being here last week. So
did you?
Yeah, of course I did. I love you.
I think that they missed you too because I had to listen to me just rattle on endlessly with word salad and have no interruption of anybody else. That must have been.
But there was no conversation.
Painful.
I like the conversation.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And I mean, I hope people like the conversation part of it. Maybe they don't, but this is what it is. So if you don't like it, buy us a coffee.
Yeah. Buy us a coffee and send us a message and tell us, hey, we don't like this.
Yeah, we don't like that.
While we're drinking that coffee you gave us, we might consider what you said.
Yeah. Well, you guys will hear us next week. And next week, we're maybe talking about something kind of cool. It's going to be cool. Everything we talk about is cool. It's
true.
Life.
Very true.
It's love.
All right. So listen, everybody out there, don't cheat.
Don't cheat. It's
always talk to your partner first about what's going on. Even if you don't want to, just get it out in the open. Just do it. Yes, it's the holidays, but
you'll probably break up, but then you can go and have sex with somebody else without being an ass.
There you go.
There you go.
Dave and Lana are like, break up with everybody. It's the holidays.
Yeah, it's the holidays.
No, don't do that. But we're just saying,
Hey, listen, I got an idea.
Be honest.
If you already bought your significant other something wonderful for Christmas and they do break up with you, send us the gift. We'll take it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Where are you going to send it to?
That's a bonus.
You have to call us and say, hey, where do we send this gift to? And we'll we'll actually call you and tell you. You can have
we're really not laughing at people's relationships because that's not nice.
No,
but what we're saying is be honest with yourself, and then say, okay, I need to be honest with my partner. I mean, they may be okay with it. You may survive it. Or you'll at least be giving each other the sufficient information to make decisions. That's good for both of you. It's only fair.
It is. That's how it should be. Well, you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you next week. See you soon.
See ya. Hey, you just listened to Love and Life with Lana and Dave. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share the podcast, leave us a comment or review, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new content. We'll see you soon.